Let me start by saying I don't expect you to believe this. Hell, I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't lived it. But here I am, typing this out at 3 a.m., blinds drawn, jumping at every creak in this old farmhouse. I've told the cops. I've told my sister. I've even told the guy who delivers my mail. But no one gets it. No one can. So I'm dumping it here, because if I don't, I swear it'll eat me alive. It started last fall, right after Mom died. She left me her property up near the Canadian border, 50 acres of pine forest and a crumbling farmhouse she'd inherited from her grandfather. I'd never even seen the place, but grief does funny things. I quit my job at the auto shop, packed a duffel, and drove north. Figured I'd fix up the house, sell it, and move on. Simple. It wasn't simple. The first week was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that presses on your eardrums. The house was a relic, warped floors, peeling wallpaper, a wood stove older than my dad. But the woods, those were something else. Ancient pines, trunks wider than my truck, their canopies so thick the sun barely touched the ground. I'd walk out there sometimes, just to feel small. Then, one night, I heard the knocking. Not on the door. Not on the windows. Under the house. 3 slow raps, like someone tapping a coffin lid. I froze mid-bite at the kitchen table, my fork clattering onto the plate. The sound came again. Knock, knock, knock. Deliberate. Patient. I grabbed my flashlight, threw open the basement door, and stared down into the pitch black. Hello? Nothing? I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I crawled under the house. The dirt was bone dry, scattered with rusted nails and animal bones. No footprints. No tunnels. Just a single, fresh cigarette butt, Marlboro Red. Mom hated smokers. So did everyone in our family. I buried it deeper in the woods, telling myself a hunter must have wandered through. But hunters don't leave gifts. 2 days later, I found the first one, a dead crow, propped on the porch railing. Its wings were spread like a macabre trophy, beak pried open in a silent scream. No blood. No marks. Just posed. Then came the whispers. I'd hear them at dusk, when the wind died. Not words, exactly. More like static, a low, garbled hum that seemed to seep from the trees. I'd spin around, flashlight cutting through the gloom, but there was never anyone there. Just shadows. Always shadows. One evening, I set up trail cams. Cheap ones, the kind hunters use. For a week, they caught nothing but deer and the occasional raccoon. Then, on the 8th night, I checked the footage. 2:17 a.m. A figure crouched in front of the porch. Hooded, face hidden, gloved hands arranging something on the steps. A dead mouse, its tail coiled into a perfect spiral. 2:19 a.m. The figure turned toward the camera. Even through the grainy night vision, I could see its smile, too wide, teeth gleaming like wet bone. I didn't call the cops. What would I say? Someone's leaving me animal corpses and grinning at my cameras? They'd think I was crazy. Or worse, a prankster. Things escalated. Food went missing from the pantry. Canned beans, mostly. My boots vanished from the mudroom, reappeared days later laced with pine needles. And the whispers, they got louder. Closer. Then, in November, the snow came. I woke to find footprints circling the house. Bare feet, toes splayed, trailing off into the woods. I followed them, rifle slung over my shoulder, until they stopped at a half-collapsed shed I'd never noticed before. The door hung crooked, hinges screeching as I pushed it open. Inside, a nest. Not animal. Human. Matted blankets, empty bean cans, and a pile of my missing belongings, socks, a pocket knife, Mom's old photo album. And on the wall, carved into the rotted wood, "You shouldn't be here, I ran." Didn't pack. Didn't look back. Just sped down the dirt road, tires spitting gravel. Stayed at a motel for a week, jumping at every creak in the floorboards. But guilt gnawed at me. Mom's house. Mom's land. I couldn't let them win. So I went back. Brought motion sensors, reinforced the doors, even slept in the truck. For a while, nothing happened. Then, on the solstice, the power went out. I heard the basement door open. Slow. Unhurried. Footsteps climbed the stairs. I'll never forget the smell, rotten leaves and wet soil. The figure stood in the doorway, hood down now. Its face. God, its face. Pale, gaunt, eyes milky and lidless, like something that had never seen the sun. It tilted its head, throat clicking as it spoke. You're still here. The voice wasn't human. It was a dozen voices, layered, a child's giggle, an old man's wheeze, a woman's sob. I fired. Missed. It lunged, cold fingers clamping my wrist, and hissed. She promised us this land. Then it vanished. Just dissolved into the dark. I found the paperwork the next day, buried in Mom's old desk. A deed from 1932, signed by her grandfather, leasing the land to a family in perpetuity. No names. No dates. Just a bloody thumbprint where a signature should have been. I burned it. The lawyer says the property's mine now, free and clear. But every night, I hear them. Scratching at the foundation. Humming Mom's favorite hymn. And when the wind blows just right, I swear I see shapes in the pines, skeletal, smiling, waiting for me to slip up. Waiting to take back what's theirs. I'm putting the house on the market next week. The realtor says it's quaint, rustic, perfect for a quiet life. But if you're reading this, if you buy it, don't answer the knocking.